Hey, as you move around, mute your phone.
You see me?
Yeah.
I'm good right there. I'm good.
Pick up my bags, I be free at last. Don't wanna hear another word from my bum ass past. I graduate to know what's fate and what's a fantasy line. I done walked the wrong path maybe a couple of times. Stepping through, I hope to see windows and green leaves. Freedom of speech, sunshine, rhythm up under my feet. Is it a dream? I check the clock for times like this. People around you can't understand what it means to exist. So make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself, be a martyr, dream big, be a father, word up. I see my time around the world before I'm giving it up. I see myself living for me instead of living for her. That's rare. Two worlds niggas can never compare. Giving time to a world that'll never be there. So get your weight up, press. Hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up. Rest enough to see yourself inside a dream. Make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself, be a martyr, dream big, be a father, word up. And get your weight up, press. Hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up. Rest enough to see yourself inside a dream. Make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself, be a martyr, dream big, be a father, word up. And get your weight up, press. Hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up. Rest enough to see yourself inside a dream.
If I didn't have $1 in my account,
Yeah. Kimbro.
Keep your head up. Gotta chase your dreams out the paper. Over time, things change. So much bloodshed, it's a shame. Don't know what the future holds. Humble, I remain. Don't replace fear where trust should be. Right here, shouldn't know what your left think.
Yo.
Don't compare the size, focus on your team. Can't be myself, won't be anything. Grant me peace, I've been patient. Trying to find solutions without foundation. One life that not wasted. Gotta adjust to the times, be adjacent. What's fair, not equal. And life movies, you get no sequel. Sometimes my soul feel conflicted, but I keep my head up, prevent from getting welled up. And times things get better, till then Glock and sweater.
Now wake up, make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself, be a martyr, dream big, be a father, word up, and get your weight up, press. Hit the the gym so it's enough to hold your head up. Rest enough to see yourself inside a dream. Make a dollar, be a god, crown yourself. Be a model, dream big, be a father, word up. And get your weight up, press. Hit the gym so it's enough to hold your head up. Rest enough to see yourself inside a dream.
Yo. Welcome to another great episode of Bedtime Stories. You know how we rocking. We appreciate the people for rocking out with us for as long as they have. Today we have a phenomenal episode. You know, another episode that will, to be honest, teach the people. So we gonna get to it without further ado. Bro, say what's up to him.
You know, another episode. Bears got a win today. Good Sunday. I can't complain. It's chilly. It's cold. The Hawk is out there, everybody. I repeat, the Hawk man is definitely out there. Had your kids, had your wife, had yourself. But we back, you know, live and do it.
Yeah, definitely. So, before we get into this topic, you guys seen the title, okay? We looking at literacy. We looking at money management. We looking at, you know, how talent and having a boatload of cash doesn't seem to be enough. So we gonna get to that, and we gonna start with OBJ. I'm sorry. Shout out to Cam Newton. Shout out to Cam Newton. But we gonna get to Cam Newton's video of pretty much OBJ talking about 100 million is not enough. So, let's get to it without further ado. See.
This
Little ad, man. Hang on. Yo. I'm trying to make sure there isn't much feedback. I can't hear a lot, but I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. I don't know if that's you, bro, or
Feedback at all from the video.
huh?
Video or for me?
Okay. It's all good. Let's go here though. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. OBJ. Let's see what this guy's talking about. Cam Newton, he has an interesting choice in clothes, for sure. But let's see what this guy's talking about.
I have $1 in my account right here today as we speak. I'm going to be straight for the rest of my life. No question, right? I don't think everybody is in that. And when you've sacrificed your whole life to get here, and you're like, yeah, I played 10 years in the league. And I always explain this to people, I'm like, bro, you give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. We're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, you know, that you have to spend, use,
save,
invest, flaunt, like whatever, however, just being real. I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna give my mama a house, I'm gonna do, everything costs money. So if you spending $4 million a year, that's really 40 million over 5 years, 8 a year, you know? And now you start breaking down the numbers, it's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting 8 million. Can you make that last forever? And you always hear the people who ain't us and ain't been in the position, like, oh, well, that would last a lifetime.
$100 million to a lot of people is a lot of money.
You wanna go first on this, bro?
Ooh. Hold on, Odell.
You wanna go first? Hang on. That was kind of quick. Let's just hear him one more time. Odell Beckham Jr. It sounds like he said he's spending $4 million a year right now.
If I didn't have $1 in my account right here today as we speak, I'm gonna be straight for the rest of my life. No question, right? I don't think everybody is in that. And when you've sacrificed your whole life to get here, and you're like, yeah, I played 10 years in the league. And I always explain this to people, I'm like, bro, you give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract, right? What is it really? It's 5 years for 60. We're getting taxed. Do the math. That's 12 a year, you know, that you have to spend, use,
save,
invest, flaunt, like whatever, however, just being real. I'm gonna buy a car, I'm gonna give my mama a house, I'm gonna do, everything costs money. So if you spending $4 million a year, that's really 40 million over 5 years, 8 a year, you know? And now you start breaking down the numbers, it's like, that's a 5-year span of where you're getting 8 million. Can you make that last forever? And you always hear the people who ain't us and ain't been in the position, like, oh, well, that would last a lifetime.
You wanna you wanna go first on this, bro?
Man, Odell. Now, one thing I can say with Odell, bro, he blew up kind of fast. You know, he never really had the chance. Like, he had that catch, you know, the one-handed catch, and then it was just straight up ads, you know, deals, advertisement from that point forward. But you know, to a working class guy like my, when you hear people say that, man, they can't survive on 50 million, it's laughable. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's comedy. You could buy your mama a gorgeous house for sure 800,000, 700,000, top notch type of house. So as far as what's he saying, upkeep, taxes, a car, that's not $4 million. He said flooding, bro. You can't put flooding into your reasoning, you know, for why you losing the money, because that's your decision. That's I can see if you said taxes, you know, your mama house, okay, but, you know, car, that's something that you gotta have, you know, it's not essential. But flooding, you lost me when you said that, and money showed apart. If you're not making the right decisions with your money, if you're not putting your money into somewhere it can grow and it can make money while you're sleeping, yeah, you're gonna lose that money. Like, it's not rocket science. We seen it time and time again. And then it's like when he say, "Well, people over here, you know," I don't even like how he said that, because now it's like, bro, have you been broke before, or you always been rich? And that's the question I'm starting to ask now. Like, were you always on these $1 million contracts? Was that your mindset before you got the money? So, you know, I think he just got to get to the root of who he are, the roots of who he is as a person, and that'll, you know, help him make better financial decisions regarding his life. But to say that you can't survive off that is an asinine. I don't agree with it. It's BS. You ask me, bro.
Yeah. I pulled up a quote here. It says, I always explain this to people. You give somebody a 5-year, $100 million contract. What is it really? That's 5 years for 60 million. We're getting taxed. That's 12 million a year. A million a year you have to spend, use, save, invest, flaunt, whatever. He said two things that caught me, bro. He said that 12 million a year, because he did the math before he came on to do the interview. He said 60 million. They need to know I'll get 60 million, and you could spend 12 million a year. 60 divided by 12 is 5. So you got, he said that's 5 years. And then, I mean, if you're spending 4 million a year, blah, 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 this and that. I wonder if Odell Beckham Jr. has actually struggled ever, if he's actually struggled.
Yeah.
Anybody who has came from the hood understands that a dollar used to go a long way. Now, not so much. Okay. $12 million, man. If you're spending $12 million a year, you need your ass whooped. I'm gonna just say that right now. I'm gonna
Plain
say
and
that.
simple right there.
You need your ass whooped. And here's the thing. I'm not saying OBJ, Mr. OBJ, the catch. You know, I had a song verse, you know, from him, OBJ, I found something like that. You know what I'm saying? I found him in it, and with different plays, the catch. You know, that was my ad lib. OBJ, you always styling and profiling, man. Let's just keep it a bean. You always styling and profiling. OBJ, you are always on the field with jewelry on, or Rashard Mill or Richard Millie, catching with the Rashard Mill on. You always got a gold chain with diamonds on. This is during the game. You could pull it up. You know? Odell Beckham, with Rashard Mill, Richard Millie in the game. This is how he values money, man. This is how he values money. He's out there in a damn football game with a $500,000 wristwatch on, which is crazy to me. These are the things that we want to share, man, because I don't think people truly getting it right now of where his mindset is at. He want to flex. Now, when you talk about, I mean, the flex is crazy right here. I ain't gonna lie, it's cold. But I wouldn't think to go play football in this, bro. You always got a fresh lineup. You know, you always fresh, which I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking. Let's say this. It's not the first bill. See, he's talking about let's say you got $100 million contract, taxes, after taxes, you have 60 to 70 million. Okay, cool, fine. You spend $4 million in 1 year. I'm perfectly fine with that. But he's not talking about the first bill. You buy your mama $1 million house. Maybe you buy yourself a million, let's just say $1 million house. You got $2 million left. You go buy you an $80,000 Benz. You go buy a $100,000 Cadillac. You know, you may buy a few toys, maybe a motorcycle for $50K. That should be enough. That should be enough for, an average person in that year, right? But here's the
years.
For exactly what I'm saying, bro. If you just spend that, boom, you should be set for life. You should be set for life as far as spending those type of purchases. Because what I want to get to with OBJ is he talking about flaunting all this, bro. The problem is you got 3, 4, 5 houses. That's the problem. The problem is you got 15, 20 cars. That's the problem. You got maybe 4 or 5 Rashard Mills. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he actually has these things. I'm sorry, the watches. He probably got about 4 or 5 houses. You know what I'm saying? 20 some cars.
All right.
You know? So that's what I want them to understand, bro. Go ahead.
It's like my thing is this. When you get the money, people act like, oh man, once I sign up for all this stuff, that, oh man, I gotta keep paying for it. And if I don't, it's not enough. No, bro, you living above your means. Like, that is a such thing as far as living above your means. You don't need 3, 4 houses. You don't need a house in Miami and out here. Like, you can go out there and get you an Airbnb for a couple nights. You out there, stay where you stay at. I mean, but who am I to talk? I know it's the big. I know it's levels to everything, but in the same token, you can't be crying. You can't play the game and then once you play it, cry that the money funny now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not enough. If you gonna get out there and get it. If you gonna live that lifestyle, you gotta hustle for that lifestyle. And these guys ain't no hustlers. They're NFL players. Get cut a major check and then 5 years later, 10 years later down the line, they crying.
Yeah. Anybody who gets handed money. I was having this conversation with the family yesterday.
I'm not gonna say they got handed money now. They work.
No, right. No. And bro just cut out. Not saying that they was handed money. No. What I'm saying is that people who were, let's say, settlement money. You know what I'm saying? People who were just handed money. Yeah. Bro, you cut out. You cut out is what I'm saying. Like not NFL money. That's what I call, you know what I'm saying? You work hard, you got fantasy turned reality. That's not what I'm talking about. They definitely earned their money. But I'm saying anybody who has money handed to them freely, like, let's say, you know what I'm saying? Like, just money that they haven't truly worked for. This could be anything. I'm not saying they don't deserve the money. What I'm saying is, if you've been giving it a lump sum, let's say $10 million, right? You didn't necessarily figure out how to acquire it, but in some way, because something happened to you, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever it was, you get it. Your financial literacy is just off. I'm not saying you don't deserve the money, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you get where I'm coming from, I'm not saying that.
You just saying that your financial literacy is not in the best place you need to be to make the best financial decisions.
There you go. You
To
may not be able to
sustain
handle
life.
it. Exactly. That's all I'm saying. And that's a lot of people. OBJ,
Yeah,
you got your contract.
talk to him.
You're one of these people. Well, you may not know how to handle this money. First mistake here. It says OBJ has a fleet of 8 cars worth millions, including multiple Rolls Royces, not just one, a Ferrari, a McLaren, Mercedes-Benz models, all heavily customized. You got the Ferrari, you got the McLaren, you got the Ford F-250. I probably would have bought
You
myself.
should be able to sell that.
But, What'd you say?
You should be able to sell that car.
Right.
Sell them cars. You crying about all that money? Shoot.
Now, these aren't the cars that he done bought other people. We talking about just the cars he done bought himself. Now,
Right.
for all the niggas in the back that don't know how this work, have you ever got your tire fixed? Have you ever got all 4 tires replaced on the fucking Nissan? Have you ever had an oil change on a motherfucking Jaguar? Have you ever had the had the transmission? I know people, they go to the dealership, they got a nice car, fancy car. Dealership tell them they need a new engine. It's gonna run you. We're not talking Rolls Royce. We're not even talking Benz. We're talking American-made cars. So it's the expenses, the overhead that keep growing that OBJ doesn't account for. The first ticket bill, I'm not mad at. You get a $100 million contract, you got $67 million, you spend $5 million in 1 year, get your mama right, get your whole immediate family right, and get you straight. I'm
You
not
supposed to
mad
do
at
that.
that. You supposed to
Right.
do that.
You supposed to do that.
I'm talking about all this other BS, bro. All this other stuff. Your house, the Ohio mansion. Now, 5 bedrooms and up, I believe, is a mansion. Don't quote me on that, but 5 bedrooms and up is a mansion. Five bedrooms is enough for me, you know. But I don't need no home theater. I don't need a golf simulator. Now, some people, you know, they may treat themselves with that. Personally, I like going to the movies. You know, I don't know about you, bro, but I love going. I don't need a movie theater in my crib. I just don't.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I just let him know that OBJ he bought a movie theater. I'm sorry, one of his cribs got a movie theater in it. You know, so you don't necessarily. I mean, you got a movie theater in your bedroom, man. Hook up the surround sound. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got some microwavable popcorn. Buy all the candy you need and want. Drinks. That's the movie theater right there. I just some of these niggas just doing a little bit too much for me, man. They doing a little bit too much. So that's my thing, man. That's my thing. And for the people in the back that say, "Oh, well, you know what? It's not your money. Why you mad?" Here's what I want to say. We was having this conversation yesterday with the fam. And for me, man, I'm in a different level in life where I just choose not to talk because I've done plenty of talking to people whose mindsets are the same and have been the same for years. For me, I say this. I always say this. First off, the conversation was, hey, you know, you becoming a doctor. If you get your doctorate, we may respect someone else who has $10 million in the bank. We may listen to them over you. I tell people time and time again, hey, if I had a choice to receive my doctorate or get $10 million, it'd be get the $10 million. But I also say this. I didn't say this last night, but I also say this. Would you listen to a man that just was handed $10 million? Or would you listen to a man that's knowledgeable within financial literacy? That would be my question. Because I've seen plenty of people go broke. I've seen $5 million men, $60 million men, $100 million men, Allen Iverson, go broke. I've seen it plenty of times.
Yeah, some saving in the long run.
So
yeah, I had some saving in the long run.
Right, and Allen Iverson, if he turns, I think at the age is 54, he has a trust fund that he can grab out, right? But Allen Iverson,
He already grabbed it. I think he already grabbed it.
Okay, Iverson his financials went in the drain because he was taking he had about 25 million. He had 25 people on payroll at one time. People not working. So, bro, when you cut out, we was having this conversation. I said yesterday. I said I don't talk to people if they not willing to hear me. The old Bible verse says, "Don't cast pearls among swine." Right. So I don't do that anymore. But at the end of the day, if I wanted to actually prove my point or state my case, I would say, hey, would you listen to somebody who's financially literate, or would you listen to somebody who was just handed $10 million? Because you know people who was handed money and they ass went broke. So,
And what be so crazy is people know that. They know that if you have a group of kids that grew up in poverty, or not even a group, just the people grew up in poverty and they never seen how people handle money and how it's really it goes through its process as far as saving, rebuilding, collecting. It's just a process that money goes through. If you're not used to that process, you think you can just spend, and then it's still gonna be there. It don't work like that. It's been proven over time, and the facts are still the facts. If you spend a lot of money, you need to be making a lot of money. And once them two things are not coexisting, some bad is gonna happen. You're gonna end up your pocket's gonna start being a little bit funny. It's gonna start getting real. Some real tough conversations gonna start happening once that money start getting funny. And then like Cam Newton, like you said, he's not able to take his family on a certain type of trips he used to take on when he was the MVP. When he was bringing in that MVP money, getting them $145,000 checks every week. Like it's ridiculous. And then they'll come in your face and say, "Man, that's not enough money." But it's people out here that's managing off $100,000 and living great lives. So it's really not about, like you say, it's not about the money. It's about just the mental fortitude and just having the mental willpower to make the right decisions with your money.
Yeah. Yeah. And you around if to bro's point, if you're around people who don't understand that, they have a lot of reflecting to do and growing to do, because there are plenty of people who have nothing and can smile every day, monetary assets, because they have intangibles through the roof. There's plenty of people also who chilling with 60,000 a year and who living great, 70, 80,000 a year and just living quite fine. I know one thing though. I know one thing. You sitting at a table, they say, yeah, I mean, you about to go get a doctorate, but I respect the guy with $10 million over, anybody could call themselves a doctor. Okay, well, I know one thing. I'm the only person at this table with one of them. Ain't nobody else got $10 million. And, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody got neither. At least I have one of them. You know what I'm saying? So, and hopefully I'm on my way to 10 million, 20 million, so OBJ, man, that's crazy. I think he said something else, bro. He said something else. Let me see if I can find it. I think he responded to the people.
So he had a lot to get out that day. OBJ.
Let me see. People on a $100 million comment. He said, yeah, he took to Twitter. So Odell Beckham Jr. went to Twitter, right? Over the backlash of people saying that you were that people took his words completely out of context. He argued he was discussing the realities of NFL player finances, not complaining about being broke. He said, boy, you can't say nothing in this world nowadays. That's why I've been in my own lane, in my own world. People love to take shots completely out of context or shit completely out of context to rationalize a statement in their own head that makes sense to them. What a world. He said.
Yeah, come on, we heard what you said, man. We just, some other people gonna make their comments, and that's fine, because according to just the studies of the statistics for the NFL, right? NFL players go broke within the first 3-4 years out the league, basically. So it's not like this is a myth. It's not made up. This is common knowledge that when they get the NFL check, they spend a little too much. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We instead of running from it, acting like it's normal, we need to try to embrace it and teach young men how to make the right decisions in the pathway of life and invest your money the right way, so we don't have to have these conversations. So you ain't gotta act like, because fun is not. It shouldn't be a part of your time. That's a choice that you make. So when you say that, you rub people the wrong way.
Right. Yeah, it's a reality. Having a lot of bread and not being able to hold no sort of accountability when you spend all of the bread, that's the BS we got to get past. And we gonna look at another guy, man, another guy who I don't want to spend too much time on certain, episodes of it, because just seeing a black man having millions and then crying about it, I just don't love to look at it all the time, but we gonna watch one video right here. Sebastian Telfair, y'all may know him. He was in the NBA, had millions, and he talks about his accountability a little bit, but you can see he's hurt. You don't have to.
Sebastian was a little bit nuts too, man. Let me put that in before we watch the video. Sebastian, he was a loose screw.
He was a little screw. Okay. Put it into perspective. Your screw got to be a little loose to lose out on 10, 15, 20 million. Let that seep through.
Let that simmer in.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me see, man. Let's see what Sebastian got to say. Sebastian Telfair, he was a point guard for the Trailblazers. Sebastian, he was a high school sensation. I mean, he could dribble. You want taking the ball from him. He wasn't a Kobe, he wasn't a LeBron, but he was definitely a playmaker inside of the NBA. Sebastian Telfair, respected. It says Sebastian takes accountability for his downfall. He's back now living inside of the projects. Let's take a look.
I kind of feel like I'm letting the whole town down.
Listen, this is a lesson in life. There's no shame here.
I'm mad. I'm just embarrassed.
Nobody paying, man.
I want to get copyright.
Around New York City knows who Ziggy is. Basically, Ziggy coached every great point.
He crying in every scene.
Stephon Marbury, Bassey, Miller.
Let me see. I want him to talk about what's going on, man. Let me see.
It's like walking a tightrope. One slip and the show's over. Because everybody wants to get to the NBA.
That's a fact.
But your work ethic and the things you did off the court, how hard you worked combined with your talent, and then it was fixing your mentality. You were not someone that got rattled. And it was more of the things in your head that I tried to guide you. Your character, I'll never forget, we had played one time. We went to Citywide, which was in Queens. So that night, I brought you back home, and it was about 8 o'clock, and we were all exhausted. I gave you $5. I said, don't wake your mother up tomorrow. Go get a bagel and a juice, and I'll meet you at 7:30 again. So I came at 7:30 to pick you up on Sunday, and you had 2 bags in your hand. And you get in the van, and you handed me a bag that had a bagel and a juice in it. And I said, what are you doing? This is your stuff. And he said, no, I got you something. I knew you'd be hungry.
Yeah.
No kid ever did that. You give a kid money, yeah, he's getting his stuff, but he's putting the change in his pocket. You went and bought me the bagel and the juice, and that showed me your character at 10 years old. And that's why I knew you were different, and I knew you were special.
I was fully in love with basketball at that time. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming back around to get back in love with basketball, but it's still somewhere in my heart. But I just had this up and down period over the last couple of years with going through my situations where I kind of blamed basketball. It took me 5-6 years to get back to even touching a basketball.
It's definitely was some time where I didn't even want to be around a basketball, watch basketball, or definitely shoot a basketball. I was just basically blaming basketball and everything. Like, if I wasn't a basketball player, like, I wouldn't be going through this, which is immature, but it's definitely some truth to it.
But that's where I'm at today still. I thought I'd get out of that space, but going back into federal court through my probation right now is like putting me right back in the same space a little bit.
Everybody has to be at fault. You do, I do, a lot of people around you do. I blame myself because the issues I had in Atlanta,
blame myself.
that took me away from you at the most crucial period when you were going from the end of your 8th grade into high school. And that's when everybody jumped in and tried to fill that gap. And they were just, look, a lot of it was selfishness on their part, but they were amateurs. And fame came in and money came in and just a lot of things. And I wasn't there to protect you. But how do I get mad at you for being 13, 14, 15 years old and not, seeing all of this? You were young and, people manipulated you.
I did have people that came around that, it was new to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things that happened. And then we was thinking basketball in the NBA. Nobody was expecting that money to pop up like that. I wasn't thinking about no sneaker money. Yeah, we was pulled all different ways, but so much was poured into me that I'm like, God damn, I'm embarrassed. Even when going through my situation in the federal court, when the judge is talking to me, she's speaking to me like them things that you guys installed in me, or my mentors, and now they in court speaking to me like if those things wasn't installed in me, and that shit just be making my head spin, tell you the truth, Zig. It's crazy. You know what the judge said to me, Zig? She said she don't think kids should be around me. That's what she just said to me. And 2 days after that, we did the camp over there on the side of the goddamn precinct that locked me up. That's the precinct that locked me up, the camp that I went
right
over
down
there.
the block,
And I talked to all the kids, and they was excited, and we took pictures and all that, right?
No,
she said that she don't think the kids should be around me. I'm like, I'm embarrassed.
You have to be embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for my whole
for me.
entire family. I'm embarrassed for all my
Listen,
brothers, my sisters. I'm
There's
supposed to continue to be representing all y'all, and I kind of feel like I'm letting the whole town down. Yeah.
Listen, this is a lesson in life. There's no shame here.
But nah, my whole community.
No, your community's behind you.
I'm mad. I'm just embarrassed. And I don't mean to be like choked up about it. But
let him let it out, man. Let him let it out.
There's several acts in life. This is just the second act closing. That's all. We're moving on to the third act. When you get back out here,
I'm ready. I'm ready to get to the next chapter.
We got shit to do. You got to do what you got to do. You come out stronger. That's your personality. That's who you are. You can't live with regret. You're going to come out. We'll have a plan for you, and we'll take off.
Facts.
You're still a young man.
Facts.
You're talking. Life ain't over yet. Your kids are depending on you, and we'll show that judge she was wrong. She made a misjudgment. She doesn't know you. We know you. And we're going to go back in front of that judge and say, Your Honor, with all due respect, you were wrong. Because now look.
My life right now is about my babies that I'm being taken out of the house from that depend on me. Nobody could take care of the twins the way I'm going to take care of them. So,
correct, you'll be back.
I hope it's a quick 6 months.
It'll go by fast. I'm not even worried about that. I'm looking now when you come out, how we're going to go.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. There's one more video I want us to see on Sebastian. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Sebastian also has a lot going on, man. Like just say, he has a lot going on, but it's tough, man. It's tough when you have a lot of people depending on you and you just make it out and you got people trying to say what you should be doing with your money and, and they ain't never had no money. Most black people, most black people have never had no money. Never had no real money. I don't know why black people be thinking I'm just keeping it a bean. I don't understand how another broke black person could tell another broke black person who just come into some money what to do with their money. Everybody been broke since they came to this country, man. Please stop it. If your credit score is shit, if you ain't got at least $200,000, $300,000, you're broke. $100,000. I'm talking about real money. This kills me because I'm sure he has had a lot of people in his ear, Sebastian, what he should do, what should he invest in, without having the proper network around him. You need a few things when you look at to actually become well off. We know generational wealth is generational, which means it needs time to actually be implemented. And for people who don't understand that and think you could just take $10 million and say, here, go invest it without any knowledge of anything, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. I know real people, white and black, who were handed millions of dollars in their own way, to do something meaningful, and to think you just want to do it alone. That's going to be hard. Doing anything great alone will be difficult. You need a team. You need a collaboration of intelligent people. Just to be honest, you need intelligent people to make this work, man. We're going to listen to this last video on Sebastian. I don't want to get copyright.
I was for sure knowing I was going to make it out.
It's him in high school.
After being the #1 player in New York City history, I turned that dream into a reality. I played over 10 years in the NBA and made tens of millions of dollars. I had everything I ever dreamed of. But after a series of legal issues and personal problems, I tried to take care of my baby. My life has become something I could never imagine. I'm right back to where it all began. Back in Coney Island, back in the projects, back in the fire.
Yo, every scene I see him in, it looks like he's crying, yo. Like he's out of it. Every time I see him, it's like he don't want to be there. Man.
This is the block right here. We in mermaid houses. Should be giving me mixed feelings. I ain't gonna lie. It's a more of a love-hate relationship with Coney Island. This is crazy though. Man, this is the garden right here. This is where everybody got chopped up right here. That's how I became NYC best point guard ever do it right here. But you know, when I was coming up through the fire, I remember it ain't look like this. 2016, I came through with Eric Adams, Mark Trigger, the NBA, and we designed all this up. I just was doing it for the community. I was not expecting to be living in the motherfucker though. When I was in the NBA, making the money, doing what I love to do, I always thought that my life would continue to go up and I would just have a sweet retirement and be able to raise my kids. And somebody told me I was gonna end up back in the project, I would have never believed anyone, not for 1 minute. Ended up getting locked up in 2017, licensed firearms and all that BS. You know, going through my divorce and now, sheesh. Fighting the feds and my divorce affected my finances. Now I gotta run around broke. This right here, this is the same building that y'all seen through the fire that I grew up in. It's crazy. Go through my whole NBA journey, go through everything I've been through, end up right back in the same spot. The first thing they're gonna ask you is, can you do it again? So that's the
Yo, having millions of dollars in the NBA and getting married is crazy.
mission. How you feeling? What up?
Chillin'.
How's everything?
Okay.
What up, doggy? Cuzzo was good. Y'all gotta take this journey with me. We ain't sugarcoat nothing. Look, we ain't got no keys. This is how you get your mail. That's how you get your mail. You ain't got no mail? We good. Can't come in here by yourself. Gotta sign a waiver to come in 2940. I'm gonna show y'all the inside. You hear it? Let's go. This is a culture shock, but I ain't gonna lie, me coming back to the projects was a gift. It was a gift and a curse, but more of a gift, tell you the truth.
I really wanted to show the world exactly how I'm living. Being in the project is all a mental thing also, you know what I'm saying? But shit is definitely real. This is the kitchen right here and shit. This shit get lit at, take care of yourself. My last pantry I had in my crib is a whole room size. You know what I'm saying? But right now, this is the pantry, you heard? Check out the amenities, man. Stainless steel appliances and all that. This is my office / closet room. Y'all might have seen this jersey right here. Y'all see this jersey right here? 1,000 pair off-whites and all that. Y'all already know I'm a stay fly. They're a little warm.
Yo, it seemed like he's joking, but he's not. Like, he's got to laugh to stop him crying, man.
So somebody got their ass bust when we wearing these. And I don't know if y'all know, on COVID, I lost my mom, and I lost my oldest brother. And the next year, God sent me twins, girl and boy. I'm gonna go say what's up to them. They sleep out. This is my twins' playroom right here. But most important was these right here. Make sure my kids read about me. Middle of the J's with a book, a movie, my own sneakers. Shit crazy. I gave y'all the inside the hood. I showed y'all, you know, where I'm at in Coney Island and all that. But keep
Yeah, that's crazy.
with the band with y'all. Y'all good cause y'all with me?
I'll say this, man. I'll say this. Sebastian Telfair. In regards to you going broke, I don't know what happened, my brother. You said a couple of things. You said, number one, that you had a divorce mistake for getting married with millions of dollars. I mean, why even do that to yourself, man? That's a business agreement. You've seen so much. I'm hoping you've seen a whole bunch, you know? And then also, I don't know. Like, how did you go broke, man? I haven't done enough to like dive into your whole story, but it just seemed like, it also seemed like you're a little off too. I ain't gonna lie to you. It do seem like you're a little off. And that'll do it. That's all it take. Let's get into this right here. We got Juelz, switching gears a little bit. Actually not. Sort of on the same wavelength. We got Juelz Santana says kids shouldn't learn to read. And the internet loses it. So we're gonna check it out. All this need to be shared, man. If you come in, please like the video, comment, share. Juelz Santana, this is a wild dude. Man. Let me see.
No, man.
Yo, all right, I'm about to play this. No, you good. I'm about to play this Juelz Santana video real quick. He said that kids shouldn't learn to read, you know. So let's hear him out. Maybe he got some I don't know. You know, let's see.
And I think that shit gonna take over.
Nah, but seriously though, G shit though, we got
Hang on. Here's what we're gonna do also. We're gonna play it all the way through, and then we're gonna play it again, and I'm gonna just comment through it. But I wanna have y'all watch the whole video without me commenting through it. And then I'm gonna give my whole take at the end. Bro gonna give his take. Let's see.
Start teaching our kids though, just financial wealth and literacy and all that shit early, because by the time they get to 9th grade, they should be just learning how to start businesses and how to. But they don't really need to know how to read. Wait, stop. I ain't gonna say that. I say that respectfully. I'm not saying that in a way to be literate, because you're not supposed to be illiterate, but you can.
What's more important, reading or math?
Math. Told you. Math. I think you could listen to a book on YouTube. You can still obtain the information. You don't have to know how to read. That's not a reading and understanding. I believe common sense is better than everything. I'm a common sense nigga. I'd rather have zero book smarts and common sense, be able to read the room, be able to read life, be able to read people. I try to understand people, understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, nowadays, you can listen to a book. I just listen to the 48 Laws of Power. And you
gotta read
listen.
your contract, Elf.
You don't have to
You can listen
understand
to
it, though,
that
with
too. They got apps you can put it in and it'll read it to you. Are you crazy?
Juelz bugging.
It probably will. AI will now. That's what I'm saying. That's how freaky
You don't
it
have to
is.
read. Shit could be told to you.
It'll be so. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like you don't need to know how to read.
Floyd Mayweather don't read that shit at a restaurant.
Like, it's mad shit you gotta read.
You saying that? You just gotta know what you like. You ain't gotta read the restaurant. You can just say, "What is this? A steak joint? I want steak, nigga. I want what y'all steak come with? What y'all got? When the waiter come,
Reading way more important.
when the waiter come, you be like, "What come?"
Appreciate you.
All right, let's run it back.
Nah, but seriously though,
Now this guy here, he's definitely a diverse learner. He was definitely a diverse learner. Okay, we definitely got some accommodations for him. He definitely was. He definitely has an IEP. He has something 504.
Juelz need his ass for that, man. I ain't gonna lie. Juelz crazy as hell for that, bro.
Maybe he rides the little yellow bus. I'm not, I'm not trying to, bash your brother. I'm just saying that he needs some, it seems like he definitely needs some assistance. But let's keep going.
We gotta start teaching our kids though, just financial wealth and literacy and all that shit early, because by the time they get to 9th grade, they should be just learning how to start businesses and how to. But they don't really need to know how to read.
Wait, stop.
I ain't gonna say that. I say that respectfully. I'm not saying that in a way to be literate, because you're not supposed to be literate, but you can.
What's more important, reading or math?
Math. Told you. Math. I think you could listen to a book on YouTube. You can still obtain the information. You don't have to know how to read.
Why is this guy ad-libbing like he's at a rap battle? This isn't a rap battle. I'm gonna tell everybody, stay away from niggas like this. Niggas like this will steer you wrong. You could be 100% wrong, and he gon' put full. Now, if I gotta go into the wall, let me walk into the wall. You gonna have me blast into the wall with how much gas you giving Juelz. Niggas like this.
I ain't gonna lie. Like, sometimes, like, man, you just gotta tell nigga, nah, bro, we not finna be promoting that kids don't know how to read. You can have the book and read them to you. Like, bro, you down there a slave, bro. I can tell you anything. Like, what is Juelz talking about? So many.
You know what, bro? I'm gonna play it all the way through, and then I'm gonna have you get your take first.
Okay.
All right.
I believe common sense is better than everything. I'm a common sense nigga.
Now I'm with him on that. Common sense for sure.
Yeah.
I'd rather have zero book smarts and common sense, be able to read the room, be able to read life, be able to read people. I try to understand people, understand, you know what I'm saying? Like, nowadays, you can listen to a book. I just listen to the 48 Laws of Power.
You gotta read your contract, Elf.
You don't have to
you can listen to that too. They got apps you can put it in and it'll read it to you. Are you crazy? Huh? It probably will. AI will now. That's what I'm saying. That's how freaky it is.
You don't have to read. Shit could be told to you.
It'll be so. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like you don't need to know how to read.
Floyd Mayweather don't read that shit at a restaurant. Like, it's mad shit you gotta read.
You saying that, you just gotta know what you like. You ain't gotta read the restaurant. You can just say, what is this, a steak joint? I want steak, nigga. I want, what y'all steak come with? What y'all got? When the waiter come, when the waiter come, you be like, what come with?
Go ahead, Brody.
Juelz, man, look, Juelz, there's the reason why you got them teeth fell out your mouth. You know, off them damn Percocets, man. Man, put the perks down, Juelz. And man, Juelz, you one of the most gifted rappers that came up, and you wasted a lot of that potential and I see why, for statements like that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no way that you had your talent and wasn't bigger than what you were supposed to be. Because Joel was a hit maker, man. You know. But to say that kids shouldn't know how to read is asinine, bro. It don't make no sense. It's bad for the culture, and we ain't pushing that at all. Like, no, you need to learn how to read because if you don't know how to read, somebody can play out your money, they can play out your bag. There's so many different things that can go wrong if you don't know how to read. Joel can stop that. That was just wrong. Um, I'm disappointed in Joel for that comment, man. Like, Joel, you don't think Joel is a made man, a smarter man than that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand why would Joel even say some buffoonery like that. That shit is it's crazy, bro. Like, nah, we ain't doing that, Joel.
Yeah. I'm
Lighter.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna put bro on mute real quick. Juelz Santana. You said that students should know how to start a business by eighth grade, by ninth grade, freshman year. They should just be learning how to start a business. Juelz, most businesses fail. We understand why they fail. They don't have the money to keep afloat, and also certain businesses, most businesses take time to develop. Um, a host of things, right? When we talk about business, talk about people not understanding how to balance a budget sheet, right? You
Yeah.
know, people not understanding customer and supplier intimacy, right? Push pull factors, all these different things when it comes to business. That's the top of the bridge, right? Top of the
Right.
mountaintop. Joel's, if you don't know how to fucking read, man, I'm not even sure if you could
Oh my
drive,
god.
Joel's. You not even
How you
you
gonna
not
read the
even
sign?
thinking. Hold on. Let me unmute, bro, because you know what I'm saying, because he be tuning in. You not even thinking about your day to day, Joel's. If I can't read, I mean, if I look at the tag on a piece of clothing, if I'm going to buy vinyls, if I'm looking to read the description on a product on Amazon, if I'm going to drive, he mentioned the dinner menu. There's so much, bro, that I need to understand regarding being able to put syllables and letters
Words.
together, you know?
All right,
So
man. Look,
go ahead.
Joel's. That's a crazy comment, and like I said, he just sometimes you don't know what somebody thinking, what a person really like, but that comment right there, in a nutshell, just sums up his career. Like, man, like, yeah, you a smart dummy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's really just that simple.
This people, I'm telling you right now, Juelz Santana and this guy to the right of them. If you look on the screen, this is a reflection of a big part in the black community. A nigga that think he talking about something and a nigga hyping him up. Those two types of people are prevalent in the black community. I'm telling you. You know? So for the people who fuck with Joel's music, I do as well. Joel's, this statement is incredibly false. And dare I say,
Alleged.
alleged. And when it comes to the kids for a second, not understanding how to read, life is already difficult. I was talking to Big Bro about this a little bit. I said, if you know how to read and comprehend, you could do a lot of different things. You just can't look at a video on YouTube, hear somebody say something, and understand. If you can't read, how do we know you can comprehend? If
Exactly.
you can't, like we
That's
just
just
don't
breaking it
know. We
down.
just don't know.
That's
If
why I
you
said,
hear
you
something,
know what I'm
okay,
saying?
boom, yeah, I'll be able to do it. What if you need to troubleshoot something? I don't know. Can
Yeah.
you read, the topic on this video? There are tons of things that you may need to do, man, and you just can't leave that up to not knowing how to read, to
I
hearing
feel like
things.
kids
You
should
just
know
can't
how
do
to
that.
should know how to read.
What'd
I
you say,
just feel
bro?
like they should know how to read. I feel like kids should know how to read. Just let them. If it's a sign that say please don't enter, they should enter the sign. They don't know how to read. You know what I'm saying? They need somebody to say it for them. Joel, you need your ass whipped, man. Like, really need your ass whipped for saying something like that, man. Don't be saying that. We come too far as a people for an ignorant black motherfucker to come out and say that the kid. I feel like kids don't know how to read. Should know how to read. Math is more important. And you still got, man, look, this may sound crazy, but you still got to read math,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How you
Yeah.
gonna
I mean,
comprehend that? You know what I'm saying?
when it comes first, you got to get to the ninth grade. Now we understand tons of schools are just passing kids along, but there are different aspects of math where you also have to read, which are word problems. I mean, that's like low level shit, but you know, if knowing how to read just advances you as a human being, bro. And not knowing how to read and trying to run a business, you might as well become a crash dummy. And then now don't get me wrong.
Crash dummy.
Crash dummy for sure. In the era of social media, there are a lot of things that you can do when you don't have to necessarily be the best reader. We're not saying you have to be an amazing reader, but you can't be illiterate, bro. Like that's the thing. You have to be able to read a complete sentence. If you going if you don't know how to read, you take yourself out of a plethora of different occupations that you will not be eligible for. One of them is communications. One of them is journalist work. Charlemagne, when he does Donkey of the Day, he doesn't just say it. You know what he does? He reads it. A lot of people may not know that. He types it up, looks at the computer, and he reads it. People looking to do customer service. If you've ever worked at customer service, when people respond to you on the other end, they give you what? A prompt to read. If we all gonna be rappers and basketball players, let me know now. I get my ass off screen. Last time I checked, it's only 400 jobs in the NBA. Last time I checked.
And no pun intended, you know what I'm saying? I'm bullshitting, but you gotta read the defense. I'm joking, of course. Yeah. Look, come on now. Reading isn't everything, man. You can't run from it. You can't run from it. Now, it is rare exceptions. Rare exceptions. It's rare cases. R. Kelly, he couldn't read, but he was one of the greatest songwriters ever, right?
One of the greatest musicians ever, yeah.
You know, come on now. Is that the path we want our kids going down? Look, it's better to be able to read 1,000% than being able to not to read.
Yeah.
So let's not even, come on. Let's not even play them type of games. If you need help, just say I need help with reading. But to say that, man, I don't need it. You don't even know how to read. You can't even drive if you can't read.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, man. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not even sure if AI would give us this answer, but let's just see. Would I be able to pass my driver's license test if I cannot read? Let's just see. Oh, it says, yes, you can likely pass your driver's license test even if you can't read well. Hold on.
And that's the problem. Okay.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem.
Can't read if you driving, goddamn.
Now, Juelz, listen, man. Now, this says read well. We ain't say not read at all, okay? All right? Offer oral versions of the written test or allow interpreters thanks to laws like, bro, how we got, this is why so many goddamn accidents. How we got people on the road who can't read? You got to be able to read, bro. I'm sorry. You'll still need to pass the practical driving test, but accommodations help with the reading barrier. I think this economy would be better off if we had people who knew how to read. Education is the way, man. I'm sorry. I've seen plenty of people get money. I've seen plenty of people, become rappers, become, people with, rich. We say hood rich. It seems like they become more educated when they go broke. Why? I don't know. I'm just giving you what I've seen and experienced, man. I know a guy. He's on YouTube. His name is Mac Truck. Anybody could look him up. Mac, M-A-C, and then Truck is T-R-U-C-C. He was crying online on YouTube. He was crying online because his mom realized his mom was doing him dirty pretty much. And he needed to be able to read to get through school. He was crying about this. His mom would not give him the proper services he needed to be able to read. All he needed was hooked on phonics because I believe he had dyslexia. So I'm not even sure if I'm pretty sure hooked on, don't quote me on that now. I'm pretty sure hooked on phonics helps him with dyslexia. Okay. Let me see. Work for dyslexia. But it's generally not considered sufficient or ideal for dyslexia, which requires highly specialized structure and multisensory teaching. So maybe it wasn't dyslexia, okay, right? But he got him hooked on phonics. He couldn't read. He started breaking down about this. This is a grown man, 40 years old, tattoos, lift weights, take steroids, all that. He got a social media following and everything. See, we got to get past the oh man, I could make some money. I don't even know how to read. If I could make some money, that may be true. But I've seen grown men cry from the soul because they ain't know how to read. And they had barriers stopping them. Education, man. Financial literacy. Being able to do for self. That's the way. It's the way. I wanna get to a quick video. I want to get to a quick video. Give me a second. Now we gonna take this piece by piece also. Before we wrap up, it leads into education. All right, it leads into education. So this is this some channel. It has 574,000 subscribers. Right? Why is American student achievement down? Right? It's not Trump or the pandemic. So this is in quotations. It's not Trump or the pandemic. Now, I'm not sure why they're saying what they're saying, but they have people who they came to speak. They invited to speak. So we're going to listen to them. I haven't seen, full transparency, I have not seen the video. I'm not sure what information these people are disclosing to the public, but we're about to find out. Okay, we're about to find out. Let me see. Bear with me. All right. See. All right, let's do it.
To a crisis facing public education in America. Students' reading and math scores are reaching historic lows. And according to our next guest, the cause of this decline isn't as obvious as you'd think. New York Magazine's Andrew Rice joins Michelle Martin to explain.
Thanks, Bianna. Andrew Rice, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
You open your piece with some of the latest findings for the National Assessment of Educational Progress. This is considered kind of the gold standard, figuring out, how kids are doing academically. And these results showed, this is over the past year, and it showed that 40% of fourth graders and a third of eighth graders scored below basic in reading. And that on the most recent 12th grade math assessment, about 3/4 of high school seniors could not correctly add the cost of 6 lunch items and calculate a 20% tip. And I was just wondering, since you write about a lot of things, what made you take a look at this?
I mean, I think really it began with a personal question that I had, which is, I have a son who's in 8th grade. He's 13 years old. He spent the pandemic, about 18 months almost during the pandemic, in and out of school. His education was quite disrupted during that time period. And so afterwards, I always kind of wondered, what would the long-term educational consequences of this be? There weren't a lot of precedents for it in the academic literature. And so, I just kept reading these articles that described these really sobering, maybe even catastrophic sounding declines in education now, or in educational achievement. I discovered that in fact the story was a lot more complicated than I imagined when I started out. That really people were studying these declines, and they are really drastic, and they did really accelerate during the pandemic, but they began before the pandemic, and they've continued in many categories after the pandemic, which makes it obvious that that there's something else deeper going on here.
One of the most
accelerate during the pandemic, but they began before the pandemic. really people were studying these declines, and they are really drastic, and did really accelerate during the pandemic, but they began before the pandemic, and they've continued in many categories after the pandemic, which makes it obvious that that there's something else deeper going on here.
Okay, so I hope that you caught that. He said that these student achievement declines began before the pandemic, okay, and have increased after. Whether that's because of the pandemic, research may show us that answer. But he did say it started before.
One of the most alarming findings in your piece is the reversal of decades of progress. In 2015, this is according to your piece, in 2015, fourth graders performed a full grade level above their counterparts in 2000. Yet almost a decade later, those students were registering all-time lows in reading in high school. So what happened here?
There are a couple different theories about what happened and why, but the best clue that we have is timing. The downturn started in about the middle of the last decade, and then that leads us being the people who are I think educational scholars who I talk to, I guess, leads them to a couple different potential theories. One of them, a real obvious and maybe intuitive one to most people or most parents of a teenager like me, is screens. A lot of people just think that, well, the iPad was invented or introduced to the public in 2010, and those kids hit the education system around 2015, and that's when test scores started to go down. So maybe that's just the simple answer. But as I noted in the story, there's a lot to suggest that there's something deeper going on, something else about the system itself, because the declines are not evenly distributed. They're distributed unevenly to kids who are scoring the lowest. So the kids who were scoring the lowest for a long time were making up ground and gaining ground, and essentially. The way the academics that I talked to described it is like, think of it as a fan. For a long time, the fan was kind of getting closer together. What's happened now is the fan is spreading back out, and all of these gaps, especially the achievement gaps between white students and black students, especially, have started to widen. The achievement gap, the math achievement gap, gender gap between girls and boys has started to widen again. All of these sort of old, long-standing inequities have reasserted themselves. So because it's unevenly distributed, we have to start asking questions about what the schools are doing and what they're doing differently. And that's what my story really tried to go deep into.
Some of these anecdotes that you describe in your piece are really a bummer.
All right, let's stop right there real quick. So we're going to allow him to finish, but I'm going to give my take. I'm going to give my answers to the questions that she's proposing. I don't know who this guy is, but he hasn't done enough research. The research that he has gathered is inconclusive and just not hard evidence. You said the people that you spoke with, the academics, they said that their theories, that's another problem. Their theories are screens. Well, what screens are you talking about? Because I know plenty of students who I've taught and other teachers have taught, they have screens when they go home. But what are they on when they get on those screens? I understand you talking about the access of the cell phone, which could be another distraction. But if we're talking about the elevation of test scores and the actual motivation behind why certain students do better than others, we can't blame the cell phones. That's number one. Number two, because plenty of other students are making growth with cell phones. That's number one. Number two, when she says, oh, look at this information. It says that the students are now reading 40% or whatever number she said below basic. What do you say about that? Well, first, we have to identify what basic is. When you say basic, what are you talking about? Which universal screener are you talking about? Are they below the 50th percentile? which is grade level? Are they getting a C within the classroom? How many data points are we looking at? Are we looking at street data? These are the questions that he should have answered. First, you answer that question. You distinguish what basic is from the generalities of academic rigor. And then you go on and you answer those questions. I don't know who the hell this guy is. Okay? When we talk about students being able to successfully provide, when we talk about teachers being able to successfully provide academic support for students, it's not an easy job. Quite frankly, and he talked about things that are intuitive, I'll give you something that's probably counterintuitive for most people. You got to work hard at your goddamn job. I know. It's not as intuitive as him saying, well, you know what? The theories are, the screens came in 2014. And 10 years later, we see the impact of social media and the screens that are happening. You got to work hard at your job, teachers. And it all falls on the teachers. It all falls on the teachers. You can't account for what the parents are doing, even though you need their help. You can't account for what administrators are doing, even though you need their help. You need the help of administrators to not get in your damn way when you're teaching inside the classroom. I hope there are plenty of places where that's not happening. But at the end of the day, the actual response that teachers should have, or that people should have widespread, the response that people should have when it comes to students being, to be honest, not performing well. They should ask the question why, number one, and then pull out the day-to-days, the moment-to-moments. You can only gather that information from the teachers. And it's much more complex than just students being on screens. Teachers know this. Real teachers who do their jobs know this.
I mean, just tell me a couple of stories that some of the educators told you about what they're seeing in the classroom.
One of the things I thought was sort of the scariest as a parent is the talking with folks about the way that grading standards have slackened. A lot of teachers told me that there's just been a softening of expectations, and they just don't they don't expect children at all sorts of different levels to be able to perform in the same way that they used to. And the reason that's scary to me as a parent of a teenager is that, you know, grades are one of the 2 or 3 pieces of metrics that you can use as an outsider to try to gauge how your child is doing. Test scores are another. But one of the things I heard was, you know, this phenomenon of what they call beeflation, which is basically, kids are just getting B's for doing less work than they used to. Similarly, just hear stories about teachers who say that they can't ask children to read books on grade level, that they should be able to read at their grade level anymore. Hearing stories about a teacher in a school for gifted students, actually, and in a magnet school in New Jersey, she says that, you know, she used to ask them to take 15 minutes to read a short story. Now it takes 40 minutes, maybe even close to a whole period. We're hearing these reports from people inside the building. These are not, you know, interest groups that are trying to advocate a political agenda. These are actually people who are practitioners who are raising the alarm and saying something's wrong here.
The other thing that you point out,
real quick comment. He made a fine comment about students. Essentially, you know, they can read a short story. They used to read a short story for 15 minutes. Now it's taking 40 minutes. I know a teacher, very close relationship to this teacher. You know, she's a phenomenal person. And she said, yeah, she's been teaching in the school for about 10 years. In recent years, there has been plenty of students who come in, and she believes, okay, that something is off. And not so much more as, you know, how capable the child is, right? We're not talking about the capability of a child. in this moment. But she's just, you know, and there's no fixed data for this, right? This is just observations. And we can trust the observations of professionals. There's been a decline in the way in the way students approach their academic variables. So, for example, when it comes to reading, when it comes to math, the approach is different. Some students are able to actually come into the classroom, sit for long enough to gain instruction. The engagement levels, how long students can be engaged for, right? And we're talking about, you know, primary grades. So at the end of the day, there is some sort of decline. What that may be, it's a bit more complex. Now, when he's talking about data also, we have to be careful. We have to be very careful because the data that he's gathering from wherever place, how substantial is this data? Did he do a meta-analysis or a systematic analysis on this data? We got to figure that out because the data he's pulling, it may not be substantial.
And the piece that I think a lot of people will be interested in is that the steepest academic declines are not happening in traditionally underfunded or we'll say conservative regions that have not traditionally invested in education equally, especially for groups that have been historically marginalized, right?
I mean, and it's true. We're talking really about southern states here. Mississippi is one, Louisiana is another. These are states that are not, to put it mildly, do not have a good civil rights record. But if the NAEP scores, the National Assessment Scores, show that today an economically disadvantaged fourth grader in Mississippi scores better than an economically disadvantaged fourth grader in Massachusetts or New Jersey, traditionally high-performing states.
Exactly. Places that publicly pride themselves on valuing education, spend a lot of money on education, and historically, at least publicly, value equity. You focus on a place that you know well where you live, which is Montclair, New Jersey, which spends a little more than $27,000 per pupil per year, right? Achievement has dropped by a grade level in reading and by half a grade in math since 2013. What made you take a look at that? Was that kind of the logical extension of, like, I wonder what's happening in my own backyard?
Now, before they go on to this question, before he answers this, one thing that these two people aren't mentioning is that these standardized test scores can be misleading. You have a lot of institutions, a lot of teachers and administrators. Plenty of teachers know this. Administrators, if they don't know this, they don't want to know it. They inflate standardized testing numbers. They manipulate standardized testing numbers. Kimbrough, what do you mean? They're cheating. That's what I mean. I mean that if you believe, if a test score comes back and a student is scoring above the 50 percentile, let's say percentile on a universal screener, and her grade that they give her is a C or above, there have been plenty of moments where I've been able to see that students cannot perform at that level. They'll come to people's classrooms, they'll go to other institutions and cannot perform at grade level. So if you look at standardized testing, it can be misleading. Also, when it comes to students taking the test, what environment are they taking it in? You say a student is scoring low. Okay. Maybe they scored low that day. Did they eat breakfast that day? Were they tired? Did they have a bad attitude? A lot of these standardized tests, they're just one data point. If a test is for an hour, will the student do better if it's broken up 30 and 30? We have to look at all these different things, which you won't get that from here. You won't get that. You won't get that here. You have to come and talk to Kimbrough at Bedtime Stories or look at, Beyond the Book. You won't get that here. You need to know what's going on with your child. Let me say this, because it's not talked about here. Then you have No Child Left Behind. No Child Left Behind, I believe, was enacted in 2011. I'm not sure. No Child Left Behind Act, 2002. Okay? So 2002, No Child Left Behind Act, which predicated school success. It was predicated on child standardized testing. So it put pressure on the teachers to actually implement systems to garner test scores. And you all know how that works. To keep contracts, to make ourselves more appealing from private schools on up, charter schools on up. You show, hey, our, and this is the game. I'm sorry I had to expose it to you, but this is the game. We want our student scores to be great so that the board and everyone else can see that our school should be funded with the best of them. Then the education department have a problem with this, No Child Left Behind Act, so they moved to ESSA, Equal Student Success Act, which actually pulled away some of the power from standardized testing that was enacted. But they still couldn't get that right. So please, let's not put all of the onus on the reflection of how well our child is doing should not be predicated on standardized test scores alone. We look to develop the child holistically. And you cannot do that if you're just looking at numbers. Numbers do not tell the entire story. It's the grades. I'm going to tell you like this. If I'm teaching your child, please believe they earned their grade, man. Please believe. And for students who, they may be in SPED or, diverse learners, I'm going to have a conversation with you. Because the system is set up to apply so many accommodations where it's truly hard. It's truly hard to give your child the correct grade when you implement those accommodations. And what I mean by that is, if I give this child what they need to have to show the full picture, I'll say it another way. Implement the accommodations for a student who has a 504, because if they have an IEP, they'll get their grade from the SPED teacher. But implement accommodations, these accommodations that I've been seeing for a 504 student. Typically, it does not show the full story. You implement the accommodations, the student gets a C or a B. And the IEP student too, they may have adjusted grading scale. It does not mean that they're performing where they need to be for a student that's in a gen ed classroom. But implemented accommodations, sure. A lot of those accommodations are wild, man. They make it so they can't fail. If you homeschooling and you provide accommodations, would you have your student take the test 4 times in a row? Allowed to take the test 2 other times if they fail? These are things that I see, man. I'm just giving you the real. Take it or leave it.
One of the things that really inspired me to do it is that there was as you alluded to a second ago, our district spends, in the 95th percentile in the country per pupil on education, and yet we have not made much of any progress closing the achievement gap. The achievement gap in our town, which is actually pretty racially diverse, has gotten wider since the pandemic, especially in math. And meanwhile, we just found out, over the summer, that we have a gigantic budget deficit that we didn't know about. So in fact, even as we're not getting results, we've also been spending much more money than we budgeted for education, and consequently, the whole community is having this very difficult conversation about whether we're getting the results that we're paying for from the system, and whether we've allowed the system to atrophy, and whether we've perhaps prioritized things in our spending that don't necessarily go towards learning and go towards closing achievement gaps and go towards preparing students to really thrive in college and in the rest of their lives.
You quote
Something else that may sound counterintuitive. A lot of teachers are not trained properly. A lot of teachers are not tracking student data. A lot of teachers are not progress monitoring. A lot of teachers are not giving grades that actually reflect students' capable ability, and how much. Not giving grades that tell the whole story and how they've been challenged throughout their academic process. As far as the rigor that they exhibit within the classroom, I don't know. I mean, on a scale from 1 to 10 in elementary, I'd say a 3 or 4. And that's with, think about all of the classrooms who don't have a curriculum. Not only that, let's say if they do have a curriculum, the scope and sequence of the curriculum is trash. Not only that, the pacing plan that they have for the curriculum is trash. Not only that, the vertical alignment that they have for the curriculum and also the teachers who are there is trash. Not only that, the horizontal alignment is trash. What I mean by that is, she said before the video, she said, well, 4th grade was reading 40% above level, and then they got to 10 years later, and they can't read as well in high school. That's vertical alignment. You'll have teachers in middle school say, my students can't write. They can't formulate a sentence properly. They can't write a 5-paragraph essay. Vertical alignment is off. If I know you need that upstairs, best believe down here we're going to be working on how to construct a 5-paragraph. At least pull out the graphic organizers and make sure we can write 1 full paragraph correctly in 4th grade, so that by the time they get upstairs, they'll have a handle on it. If I know they need to understand elapsed time, if I know they need to be working on multiplication, they going to be working on their timetables down here. It's not rocket science. Other people need to understand this is the game, man. It's been going on for way too long, and I'm not saying these people are puppets, but we have people who aren't knowledgeable and who haven't been through the ringer and who haven't gone deep enough. No, did he? To actually explain the different variables that are unseen. I'm passionate about this, man.
A superintendent who says, our budget reflects our priorities. I don't know how much of our priority teaching and learning has honestly been. So what has the money been going to?
Districts are spending more money on ancillary things that they didn't in years past than they ever have been before. If you talk with teachers, they'll often tell you that that schools and teachers themselves are being asked to do more than they have ever done before. There's an article that just out in the New York Times about how classifications for special education and anxiety diagnoses and depression diagnoses have really just gone through the roof in a lot of schools. And so that means schools are hiring counselors. That means that a lot more kids have IEPs and other forms of special education classifications, which mean having to hire more teachers, more personnel to address those deficits. Again, it's not a monocausal situation, but it all starts to add up. And what you end up getting is a situation in which we have ever inflating costs for public education. And crucially, I think important to note, under Republican Governor Chris Christie in the middle of the last decade, the state also put in a cap on how much municipalities can raise their property taxes, which finance schools, of 2%. So, you can do the math. Inflation is going up faster than 2% in everything, buses, personnel, every aspect of education. And the school districts, at least here in New Jersey, and this is not uncommon throughout the country, have a hard cap of how much they can raise money, and it means that they end up having to always be doing more with less.
Okay, but how does this explain the fact that some of these southern states that traditionally have not invested as heavily in public education, their kids seem to be doing better?
There are a couple different theories. One has to do with curriculum and continuing teaching of phonics and so on. Others have to do with teacher training. But a really big one that I address at length in the story is this idea that that the more conservative states never really backed away from a system of what was called accountability for schools, largely based on test scores, although not exclusively based on test scores. But there's a long period of time when Republicans and Democrats alike had a sense that they would set high standards for schools and hold them to those high standards, rewarding them when they met them or exceeded them. And there were incentives and disincentives that were that set up around these accountability benchmarks. And so the southern states, by and large.
In other words, if you don't get these scores, this gonna happen. If you don't have the scores, this gonna happen.
Have kind of stuck with that. A lot of the liberal northeastern states, especially since the pandemic, have moved away from using test scores in that way. Lots of complicated reasons for that, but a big one is a federal law signed by Barack Obama in 2015 that really delegated a lot of authority to the states. 2015, if you remember from what we were just talked about, we talk about the mystery of this inflection point where things started to go down. What happens to the people who believe in what I call the declining standards hypothesis point to the signing of this law in 2015 as the kind of turning point in which educational achievement started to go in the wrong direction. And so if you want to think about what might be going wrong or what we might be able to fix, that might be a good place to start. I think a lot of the people in this education reform movement would say.
Some people forget just how heated these arguments were over, in George W. Bush's administration, his kind of No Child Left Behind initiative. And a lot of people kind of in the educational policy world, teachers unions were sort of furious about it. They thought this is, teaching to the test. You're going to drive all the joy and passion out of teaching and the creativity. It's going to be all about the test. It's all about the test. But sort of now looking at it, do you think that there's been any kind of a change of heart?
I think everything that you said about sucking joy out of the classroom and teaching to the test and incentivizing cheating and so on, these are all real things and real downsides to the No Child Left Behind regimen. So I'm not in any way sort of romanticizing, what there was before. But as always with any kind of policy change, there are unintended consequences. What one education policy specialist told me, in the course of doing this, that in 2015, when Obama signed the law reforming No Child Left Behind, he said, there's a widespread anticipation that we're moving to something better, and it turned out we're moving to something much worse.
One of the things you say in your piece, which is also a surprising.
Let me just pause it right here. There are a lot of people in politics, politicians, who garner some sort of, they believe that they belong inside of a school. Couldn't be further from the truth. Go sit your ass down. I've been in institutions where people have come from the political side to be administrators. Once again, I'll say, go sit your ass down. Black people and white people have no clue what's going on inside of the classroom. Running institutions into the ground because they don't know what the hell they doing. And are hired by individuals who will believe that they know what's going on. I just think people are just not intelligent people. Talking about, yeah, she should be in this position because one of her references right here says Brandon Johnson. I don't give a damn if one of her references was Barack Obama and then you had Jesus next to it. If she ain't been inside the classroom, she should not be in that position. Y'all gonna make me take my gloves off in here, man. Got an ignorant clown in there that don't know what the hell is going on. You got 10 different curriculums inside of the school building. All you need is one that's definitive. The scope and sequence is decent. Everybody is able to use it. Give a professional development meeting on it and push forward. Something that you've probably used that you can actually build systems and orchestrate your damn self. Every time somebody asks, you want to know something, explain it to me like a 4-year-old. Explain it to me like a 5-year-old. Why? Because you don't know shit? Now I got to break it down for you? Waste fucking time? Some of these older black folk, man, telling you, man, it ain't just them, it's everybody. It's just people in general. I'm just saying, I'm telling you something I know. I'm telling you shit that I know, man. Get you somebody inside of a schoolhouse who has been inside the classroom for at least 6 years. At least. They can provide you with things that nobody else can. You talk about experience. Also, having the degrees matter. I've learned things that I've learned things through experience that all of the things when you talk about the degrees, and I mean I got a rap sheet talking about the tests that I've taken, talking about the Type 75 internships. You talk about the educational leadership programs, the case studies. The list goes on. You got the dissertation, where I have facts. Did my own coding. I don't even want to get into it because it's just too much, man. It's too much. That's why I just don't like talking to folk who, don't know a damn thing about what's going on. It's exhausting. You got to hear some people talk for 5 hours. My point is this. Get you people in there who have actually done it, who can actually speak to the things that are trying to be implemented. You got teachers trying to tell parents that hey, your son, your daughter, they got ADHD. They told you your son or daughter has ADHD just from them telling you. It needs to be diagnosed from a medical professional, number one. It needs to come from them. And number two, there needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be at least 2 to 3 years of data, of evidence that shows and reflects that this student has an attention deficit, a learning disorder. Because we all know there is no standardized test for ADHD. For example, in contrast, when you go to the eye doctor, you can get prescribed what you need to right there. They give you a test. They could pick whatever you need from a shelf. You get what you need right there. A teacher say, well, I mean, you could do that with ADHD. A student comes in, they bouncing off the wall, they got ADHD. They mama know they got ADHD. What if they come in, they completely cool that day? They do well in all their coursework that day. They mama that day is in a great mood. What are you talking about? There needs to be at least 2 to 3 years of data showing the inconsistencies within a student's behavior that actually lines up with a plethora of professionals that collaborate on a consensus that this student has ADHD. That needs to be the teacher. It could possibly be the administrator, but it's normally the teacher, the parent, the medical professional. All right. And I would say probably the people who are, pulling data from like the occupational therapist, the speech pathologist. Okay? It needs to be 2 to 3 years of documentation. Diagnosing somebody with ADHD is completely different.
To me is you reference work by an Ohio State University professor, Vladimir Kogan, showing that school boards are often elected by, quote, mostly childless, overwhelmingly white upper income voters, unquote, creating what he calls a democratic deficit. So how is that possible?
A lot of people vote for school boards based on based on their taxes, based on there's in any community, I think the number of parents in any given community is not necessarily going to be a majority, because just by the nature of demographics. You have a lot of people whose children are not entered the system yet. You have a lot of people who don't have children, and so the electorates are not made up primarily or exclusively of parents. I also think, to be candid about it, that I think that in a lot of places, there's even parents who should be the most invested in the system, there's a sense of disconnection, of oftentimes these are very low turnout elections, and oftentimes parents have no idea that there's anything wrong. So now, for instance, in my community in Montclair, there are people starting, public advocacy groups. There are WhatsApp groups that are, getting together to talk about all these issues, print up yard signs, try to get people to the polls for this referendum where we're voting on potential tax increase in a week from now. But I would say, just candidly, I think the percentage of those people, those same people who were paying attention 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a year ago to what was going on in the schools was quite small. And so I think that, these are things you have to make a lot of effort to pay attention to. I know from having tried to make some effort to pay attention to them that the systems are not easy. It's not easy to go to a 4-hour school board meeting on a weeknight if you're a working parent. So anyway, the point is that we get the system that we get in part because the system is set up to make us to make us disinvested in it.
Andrew Rice, thanks so much for talking with us.
Yeah, he's right about that. He's right about that. He got that right. Shit. We're going to get up out of here, man. Until next time, you already know what it is. In this simulation, provide a demonstration to the higher power showing who you are. Only then, and only then, do we soar across the pages of life. Until next time, levitate.